On an American Airlines plane, 140 passengers had just noticed something alarming 15 minutes after takeoff. Though the plane had taken off, it wasn't gaining much altitude. As the passengers observed this, the pilot made a sudden announcement. On the 21st of September, 2005, in the city of Burbank, California, American Airlines JetBlue Flight 292 was ready for departure. It was 3 p.m. and the flight was scheduled to take off for New York at exactly 3:15 p.m. Everything was going according to plan. All 140 passengers had boarded, and the airline crew had loaded all the luggage. The only thing left was for the control tower to give the signal for takeoff. At exactly 3:15 p.m., Captain Scott Burke received the green signal for takeoff from the control tower, and 2 minutes later, at 3:17 p.m., the plane left Burbank Airport. Neither the pilot, the crew, nor the 140 passengers had any idea that in a short time they would experience the most terrifying moments of their lives. 15 minutes after takeoff, all the passengers noticed that the plane wasn't gaining altitude. Just then, Captain Scott made an announcement, stating that the flight was experiencing technical difficulties. Hearing this, all the passengers became alert. Some speculated that an engine had failed, while others thought the plane might have lost the power to ascend. But the situation was even more terrifying than that. Half an hour had passed since takeoff, but the plane was still flying over California. Then, the pilot made another announcement, informing passengers that the landing gear was not functioning properly, though the exact issue wasn't clear yet. The landing gear, which helps an aircraft land, was repeatedly giving warning signals, and even the captain didn't fully understand the problem. This is why the captain wasn't increasing the plane's altitude. He wanted to get a visual on the landing gear to assess the danger. To inspect the landing gear, Captain Scott redirected the plane toward Long Beach Airport and significantly lowered its altitude. The Long Beach Tower used zoom cameras to observe the plane's landing gear and found that it was rotated at a full 90-degree angle. It was now clear that the landing would either be a crash landing or an emergency landing. Upon receiving this bad news, the pilot was given another alarming update from the control tower. The local news channels had captured footage of the plane and were now broadcasting it live across America. The passengers on board could even watch it on their TVs. The plane had now been in the air for more than 50 minutes, still circling over California. There was no way to straighten the landing gear, and if the plane attempted to land in this condition, the friction could ignite a fire in the fuel tanks located in the plane's wings, potentially leading to catastrophic results. At that moment, the plane's fuel tanks held a massive amount of jet fuel weighing around 14,000 kilograms, equivalent to the weight of about 12 family cars. If a fire broke out during landing, the plane could explode in an instant. However, Captain Scott was very skilled and made a decision to burn off as much fuel as possible before attempting a landing. The plane circled over the ocean for 3 hours to reduce the fuel. Eventually, only enough fuel remained for about half an hour of flying, making this the most critical 30 minutes for JetBlue Flight 292 and the 140 passengers on board. Captain Scott decided to attempt a crash landing at Los Angeles Airport, as it was the nearest. He contacted the Los Angeles Tower and instructed them to prepare for every possible emergency scenario. Inside the plane, the passengers, who had been watching the live broadcast of their own ordeal, had their TV sets turned off by the captain. The atmosphere inside the plane had become extremely tense. One passenger even recorded the entire scene on camera and left a video message for his family. JetBlue Flight 292 was now approaching the runway at Los Angeles Airport, where emergency crews, from fire trucks to ambulances, were fully prepared. The control tower made one last contact with Captain Scott, giving him the green signal for landing. The moment Captain Scott received the green signal, he instructed all passengers to assume the crash position, a posture that can significantly reduce injuries during a collision, also known as the brace position. The plane had now reached the runway. With great skill, the pilot first touched the plane's rear landing gear to the ground and gradually reduced the plane's speed. Finally, the moment arrived when the front landing gear touched the ground. As feared, friction caused a terrifying fire to erupt in the landing gear. The fire was so intense that the passengers inside could clearly feel the heat. But within seconds, there was an eerie silence, and the plane had come to a safe stop. At that moment, the pilot, crew, passengers, and all of America, who had been watching the event live, breathed a sigh of relief. One by one, the passengers disembarked from the plane. The front landing gear wheel had worn down so much that half of it had completely melted away. Investigations revealed that a lock in the front landing gear had failed, causing the wheel to rotate 90 degrees immediately after takeoff. Fortunately, due to the pilot's expertise, not a single person was injured. Hope you found this story gripping.